So I just wanted to share a couple things with you. When you wet your paper, see if I can do this and focus. Okay, with clear water, and then you add a color to it, your color will not go any further than the areas you have wet. Okay, and I just blotted in some color there. And I can move it around a little bit, but it will not go past the area that I have pre-wet with my paintbrush. So I'm going to add some other colors to it, just to let it mingle a little bit. So this is how you work wet on wet. You can add darker colors, like a purple. And then it's going to dry, and then you can add some other things on top of that. Now, if I want to take this and move the color a little bit, I just drag the water, and then you get some bleed. Now, if I have something right next to it that I want a completely different color, let's switch over to some blue here. And I have not let the one area dry. As you can see, if I get right up next to the wet area, you're going to have some bleed over. Okay, I'm trying to do this while looking through my phone here. So those two colors will bleed together. If you want them to be crisp, one has to dry before you work right up next to it. So a lot of times in watercolor, I'll move to a different area of my watercolor and then come back. So this is my fall watercolor that I'm working on. You know how we like to start in a light wash and then we work darker. This is my apple right there. And I saw that the base tone was kind of a dirty yellow color, so that's what I've got in there. Okay, and so if you want things to be crisp and do some detail work, your brush can be a little drier. I'll get a color on there, and you can work on a dry paper, as you can see here. And then you can add things to your leaves or to the pumpkin. If you want it to be softer, add some water first. And like I said, you can always drag and soften that edge a little bit if you want to. Okay, so just have some fun with that. Work on it a little bit on your own. When you are shadowing, it's always good to use analogous colors, which are next door neighbors on the color wheel. So a lot of times when I'm working with maybe oranges for my pumpkin, then I'll add like a red orange, maybe add some reddish purple or red violet for some shadowing. I use yellow for highlights, and these things are next door to each other on the color wheel, so that works great for shadowing. If you go across the color wheel, let's, for example, start with a yellow. It will muddy your colors up, and the opposite of yellow is violet or purple. So look what happens. It kind of makes a muddy color. It's not very nice. Now, if you want that color, fine, but that is one way to mix a brown, is go opposite on the color wheel. So when you're wanting to shadow and have it look nice, stay with analogous colors. Next door neighbors, orange, red orange, straight up red. And then I could mix up, let me mix up a red violet here real quick with red and a touch of purple. And that makes a nice shadowy color. So you see how you can shadow by using neighbors and how that works a little bit better than trying to go across the street, which are your complements. So let me show you another complement mistake. Green and red are complements. And this is going to be not very pretty. The red kind of overpowered the green in this case. Let's put some more green in there. And you're just going to get kind of an ugly, muddy color. Now, sometimes you need a dull color like that for a certain thing, and that's okay. So you know how to get a color to be less vibrant is add just a touch of the opposite. But a lot of times for watercolor, you want to be a little more vibrant. Make sure you're not using green straight out of the pan when you're using a green for leaves or things. Green is too bright and fake. Add a little yellow, add a little brown. Get you more realistic green. So I'm going to take my basic green. Okay, add a touch of yellow maybe. Touch of brown. And then I have a much more realistic green. See that? This is the realistic one. This is the fake Eastery one. Okay, so just a little help for you to get started on your watercolor. This is me. I've got some of my blueberries done, part of the pumpkin done, and I've been working on the apple. So I'm starting on this apple right here next. And like I said, I jump around a little bit so areas get to dry. If I don't let my blueberry dry, then one blueberry will bleed into the next and it will look fake. So hope this helps. Enjoy your painting.